And we're live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to our 19th episode of Divesoft Dive Talks Live. I'm your host, Joe Boscus. So, hope everyone's doing good today. Make sure you like and comment on our stream today. My guest this week is the infamous Garry Dallas, or maybe some of you might know him by his nickname, Sidemount Bob. Garry Dallas. He co-owned and served as the director of training for the RAID UK and Malta training agency, also known for his works on apex exploration projects. Throughout his career, he's gained countless certifications and rose through the ranks and cultivated a love for side mount diving. He's also an accomplished CCR instructor, technical advisor, and co-author and primary RAID diver training manuals, product tester, brand ambassador, and just like all my other guests, an all-around awesome dive buddy. Please welcome to the live stream, Garry. See if we can pipe him in. All right. Hey, there you are, mate.
How are you?
Good, good. How you doing? Really great to have you join us this week.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah. You can see we already have a good turnout of folks chiming in and saying hello from all over the place.
Yeah, I can see. Hi, everybody. Thank you.
Good.
Well,
so we spoke the other day about so many different things, but I wanted you to take our viewers kind of back to describing your beginnings and getting into scuba diving and kind of your background. Let's dive in, straight in.
Well, just like everybody, really. I got a little bit of a taste for this kind of. It seemed like a nice thing to do, and the funny thing was that I only started diving because I was stuck on a hotel room on the top floor where there was a pool, and I had no normal activities like jumping on a jet ski and racing around some part of the bay. So I didn't get a chance to do the water skiing, the jet skiing, and all this. So I I remember sitting on the pool and I'd jump in and out, sunbathing and stuff. And these guys came past and said, "Hey, do you want to have a go with this?" And I went, "Nah, you're right. It looks like too much hard work." And that was like a single tank and some pipes coming off it. And I thought, And about 2 hours later, I was waiting for them to come round, and I said, "Yeah, give us a go." And I thought it'd be something great, like getting this big pool, and it wasn't. It was like a kiddie's tiddlywinks pool. It was like 3/4 of a meter high, and just dunked me in it. And for the first time ever, I remember thinking, I was staring at this wall because it was that far away from me, and thinking, "Wow, I can breathe underwater." And that was quite a thing for me because I had a bit of an issue with. I'm not the greatest swimmer in the world, but my body, my overall physiology is very heavy. I'm extremely negative. If I sit in I've got heavy legs, heavy body, everything, and I can sit on the surface, holding a full breath in the sea, and I sink. I need buoyancy. So even when you snorkel,
floaties on too.
Yeah, armbands and everything. So for once in my life, I found something I could do and enjoy because I like being near the water. I'm a water simon. I love water. Being next to water, damn, I had to build a pond in my back garden just to have the sound of running water. Weird. But for the first time, I felt comfortable in the water, and it grew all the way from there.
It's a common thing. Like everyone can always talk about kind of their first diving experience, and it's just that impact of the weightlessness has on folks.
Yeah. But on top of so obviously back in the day, I had this vision, and I still remember seeing it. I can see it in my mind right now. So I used to love caving, and we went on an excursion to this part of a cave in Derbyshire, and I remember everybody kind of turning back because we went through this cheese press and people couldn't get through it. And I was still quite a big, tall guy back even when I was 13.
Uh-huh.
And I slid through this cheese press, and I was looking at everyone going, "Hey, see you later, guys. I'm off."
See you guys.
And we got to the end of this part of the passageway, and there was just this beautiful pool of water. And the guys kind of put these waterproof lights in the because they always have these semi-waterproof lights, and they put them in the water, and it just shone this beautiful aqua greeny blue. And I was like, "Guys, can we get in here?"
Yeah.
And I remember the darkest patch in the hole, and I was thinking, why is it dark there? Why? What does that do? And yeah, they go, "Oh, that's for cave divers."
Whoa.
Oh. And for me, it was like, oh, I've still got that vision in my head, you know. So
it's amazing how much it leaves a mark.
Yeah, it does. But I didn't start diving till I was like, in my late 20s, and actually, it was another thing that was a cause of that was I didn't buy any more fishing gear since my fishing gear got stolen. So from my caravan, they took the caravan. I wasn't even there. They took caravan, took fishing gear. I didn't bother replacing it. I just carried on diving instead, and enjoyed looking at fish rather than hooking it and tormenting fish and stressing them out and possibly dying. So I kind of went the opposite end of the scale. And one of the other things that faded out was all the adrenaline stuff that I used to do.
Yeah, yeah.
I know you're gonna go. I used to race motorbikes.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
And I had a downhill mountain bike as well, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I've still got it.
So fun. It's so funny, apparently here in Tampa, the mountain biking scene is really good. And my TA, my peer here, he goes mountain biking all the time. And he's like, "Joe, let's go." And I'm like, "What? No, that's like, last time I was on a mountain bike, I separated my shoulder." And I was like, "Nah, that's okay. I'm going to go cave diving. It's much safer."
I've hurt myself more on a mountain bike than I have on a motorbike.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You probably know this because the Santa Cruz Nomad is one I imported from America.
Oh,
because they only have size in America. They don't have it in England. So it's to import mine, and I built it up. Yeah, it's quite special. I quite like it.
Yeah, I definitely. I've seen that one. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like I said, diving, it really draws people in, especially that first bite. Like, it either gets you or it doesn't get you at all. And you're like, "Oh, I was terrified. It was horrible," and then caving itself is, where I went for university, we had a course that we spent the entire semester looking at the biology of caves, and we were just going caving, and it was just such a good experience to kind of learn about it. And then that led me to cave diving, and then I was like, "Oh wait, I can float. I'm not getting bruised and beat up anymore." So
that's one of the things, actually, isn't it? You can hover 1,000 meters above the sea floor. Whatever depth you're qualified to, and you can hover over it. And I don't have the slightest feeling of nausea or dizziness, or the type of thing that you get when you're watching some lunatic ride a downhill mountain bike on the knife edge of a mountain ridge, and it's ice on both sides.
Right?
Like, oh my God. Yeah. So yeah, it's quite funny, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just so interesting because, the taboo of adrenaline sports, cave diving, the most dangerous sport in the world, and the adrenaline junkies of it. And reality, so many of us get into diving getting away from those adrenaline sports, and I say everyone, it's the lazy sport.
Oh, I'm actually realizing, and actually I hold my hand up quite a bit, and I think I've said it a few times the last few days while I've been teaching, that I'm a lazy diver.
Right? I like minimum work.
Diver. Yeah. And I don't think I am. I never think I was, but I am. And I think we all are, because we will always choose the easy option. We even train ourselves and tell each other right from the word go, push the easy button. Yeah.
Right.
Go for it. and why make your life hard work? So yeah, and we do that. And if we can find a shortcut or an easy answer to it, we will, because it just saved us a lot of grief, and we can go and have a beer instead.
Exactly. Yeah. It's, the minimum energy, that minimum effort, and it's not that we're inherently lazy people, but you have to be efficient. You can call it lazy or you can call it efficient. And,
I
it's
couldn't
like there you go. If you're swimming and pumping against flow, and then you hear zzz, and all the scooters go by you, you're like, oh, that looks way better.
Actually, I remember doing a cave diving in Santander in the south, in the north of Spain, and it's the, oh God, I can't remember the name of it now. And basically, I heard these scooter guys go past us. Now we'd already gone into the cave first,
Mm-hmm.
and they were on their scooters, and they clearly, obviously, wanted to get some depth and penetration in. But we had a longer dive than them entirely, because they were 20 minutes after us getting in. And we only had, like, I call it recreational, a couple of tanks, and nothing, no deco tanks, and it was not about that. But we had a much longer dive than those guys, and they were all that kit, and it just, sometimes it's just nicer and easier.
Yeah, yeah. It's having this kind of doing those simple cave dives where you just got your back gas, you do your plan. It's nice,
Absolutely,
rather than all the bottles and whatnot.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just easier just to. But you know what? I always find that it's when you do get to a level that you're task loading yourself with extra kits and more bottles. I know people like to call them cylinders, but it's just bottles at the end of the day. Yes, and cameras and anything that is outside of your normal equipment is actually more stressful, more task loading, and you're not thinking about your normal setup. You've got extra stuff to do, and that's fine, providing you build up to that level and you dive it often. And then one day you just don't take all that stuff with you, and you just have the easiest dive in the world. And it's like, yeah. But years ago, you'd have probably thought that was the hardest thing to do. So it's all very subjective according to your experience and the time scales and how much practice you give things.
Especially, your hindsight changes, and so and there's so much, like cameras, for example. I was kind of going through your kind of your website and your portfolio. The pictures that you have some fantastic pictures. And now there's such a social media push to getting pictures, and you're seeing everyone's got a camera with them all the time now. And so it's like but at the same time you have GoPros and different cameras, so it's it's like there is the pressure of having cameras and taking pictures, because that's what people see, and I'm kind of trying to find my direction in that. But it's is the pressure to bring more cameras and more gear, is it leading to more problems, do you think?
Yeah, I do get what you mean. I mean, I was always I've been a photographer. I had a camera when I was 12.
I've taken pictures for a while.
My dad gave me his camera, right, for my birthday. And my next birthday came along, and I gave that camera to my brother, and my dad gave me his new camera, or his old camera, so because he got a new one. And then after I think it was about 3-4 years. Yeah, it was 4 years. I didn't take a single picture. I didn't even have a camera after that. And other than when I started diving, I got a little Fuji film thing, Z100. In fact, I've still got it somewhere. I saw it the other day. And I just take these beautiful green, horrible, really badly exposed pictures. But it was just to, I still see them. They were on my Facebook wall, and I can still remember exactly what I looked at, because your memories fade over years. And some things that you think, oh my God, I forgot about that. But you took a picture of it or a video of it, and it's something for yourself. And I knew that, because I've forgotten things that I've forgotten more things than I remember. But That's really nice, but the pressure of taking pictures, I don't know. I think it's everything's got a positive and a negative to it. So
Right.
taking pictures and the bravadoism of having a really big camera. I have a big camera. I wish I could have a small camera. I really do. It's very big. It's very heavy. Costs a lot to take abroad. Takes up a lot of space. I'm frightened of damaging it and losing it, which is a story. But I'd love a smaller camera. But at the end of the day, these things are like shovels, and the small thing in my hands does not fit, and it's actually quite awkward to press a button like that and get my wrist than it is to do that. It's the dexterity that everybody has, and I'm not saying people can't use it and can't do it, but for me, I like to sit in a poise in the water that just reminds me of not putting any effort in. So do that and press a button is effort. I said I'm lazy, I just like to go. It does. It fits in my hand very nicely, and you know what? I strive to be better, but I've had some very good tuition from different people about photography, and the hardest thing is that we try to be better, and in actual fact, you can be better from a technical point of view in art, in taking pictures, in photography, but you need that element of art. And one of the funny things about my upbringing or my schooling is that I was really good at art, and I was really good at maths, physics, chemistry, and electronics, because that's what I did, and that's what I wanted to do. I actually wanted to be I actually worked in the laboratory because I was going to go to university as a organic chemistry student. So anyway, so yeah, and then I went to being a mechanic. So it's just really nice.
It's funny how life goes, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Still can't get rid of my tools. I've got a garage full of tools still. But yeah. And so what the pressure of that, and we digress, is that, we do strive to take things in that will improve either our abilities in whatever way they are. But in photography and anything else for that matter, we're just trying to improve ourselves. But there comes a point where you just got to slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
If you try too much too quick, you actually haven't had chance to experience any failures or any difficulties, or just awkwardness for that matter. And just something awkward can actually affect you not today but another day, because doing something else and not your usual form is actually where the stress is involved. And when you apply stress to diving, it's quite a dangerous little thing.
Yeah, it can be, it'll work. It may not have a problem today, but you could do everything the same way and it'll have a problem next time. So
yeah, and it always starts off from the little things, the little that we don't see, to things that we kind of go, yeah, I can manage that. That's not an issue. To the one that you go, oh, that's all right. Yeah, I can still manage it. And then the next time you go, what shall I do now? Should I do something about this? Or and then the next one is, actually, I'm really struggling now, but there's nobody around to help me. And then the next one is, oh shit.
Yeah. There's that oh shit moment.
I wish I had,
Yeah.
And it's taken me a long time to appreciate those facts, that whatever we think we are, there's always something that can better us. And a typical situation was, I'm pretty decent at diving, I think. And I was doing a cave dive, and one of my inflators failed.
Right.
So it failed from the mechanical inflator part, where when you put air in, it didn't stay in. It just came. No, didn't stick. It just wouldn't let it stay in. It came out from oral mouth. So
Uh-huh.
there was no other problem with it. It was just you pressed the button to go in and it didn't stay in. It just came straight back out. So I hit it and I did all sorts of things with it as you do.
That's how you
That'll
start.
work. That'll work. Yeah, yeah. But nothing worked. Nothing. So obviously you get to hitting it because that's your last resort. But I had to keep my thumb over the end of it to keep the air in for the rest of the exit. Now, I don't care how good you are, but that is just you've just got one hand now. That's it.
Yeah.
Now, how are you going to reel in? Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you going to take a marker off? How are you going to, how do you write anything? And suddenly everything becomes hard work then. So things can better you quite easily when you don't realize that things can happen. So, I know it's arguable differences about whether you use a single inflator, a single bladder or a twin bladder, but for that reason alone, we take backups in caves for a reason. And I was in a wetsuit, so I don't have any other backup. So it's then lies in the expertise or the experience and the intrinsic value of what we consider diving to be about. And cave diving is about diving.
It's funny. When I hear people say that, oh, I'll just use my dry suit as a backup, backup inflation. I was like, well, have you ever tried that?
Well, and in all honesty, I do use my dry suit as a backup.
Oh,
but if
you're weighted the right way, then yeah. But if you're very, very heavy and you're overweighted, which you already shouldn't be, but I've had to use my dry suit as a backup inflation, and it's a nightmare being able to work, and you essentially have a giant bubble in your suit, and it's interesting. It's just like how you're saying, I lost inflation, so you basically have to adapt. And if you don't train where you kind of learn something, where say, for example, you can't use your hand and you have to keep it here for the whole dive. If I brought that to a student in a training scenario, they would be like, oh, that's kind of outrageous. And, maybe it is a little bit, but there's a scenario where it happened. And so, okay, you got to do everything with one hand now. And so those little sometimes those little outrageous kooky training scenarios do a really good thing on changing your mindset on being able to adapt.
Yeah.
And,
I have to admit, in that scenario I was in, the wetsuits and a wing that failed on me, I had to get everybody else to help me because you can't go. The best I could do is just keep my buoyancy. It's and it wasn't a particularly hard cave dive or anything like that.
Right. Yeah.
It was just like somebody just put a hand behind my back and tied it there. Oh, that was it. But that's what teamwork is about. Your team, they help and they were qualified to help as well. And it was actually it wasn't a train dive, but it was at the end of a course where you do your own some pleasure dives afterwards. And that point, it was like, you know what, these guys can help, and this is how you now help as a team. And it's not a buddy system as such, because I tend to think that a buddy system is where you rely on your buddies to do things and help out in the event of you need that help. Whereas teamwork is more about, actually, it's not so much that you plan for failures, and you plan that within the team you're aware of each other, you're aware of the situation, surroundings, and you're there for each other at the moment's notice. You don't even have to ask them. They're just there because they're aware of you, and they're actually aware of a situation because they're watching. They're aware, and I think the difference between teamwork and your buddy.
I think there's a big difference of buddy and team diving. In buddy dive, it's like you're saying, in buddy diving, you're depending on, it's like your buddy's like a spare parts, and they can help you. Oh, I got something tangled up, you can help me. But you have to go to them and tell them. Versus teamwork diving, you have the plan, you have like a formation. This is the way that we're going to go in the dive. We're going to stagger, and I'll be in front, number 2, number 3, number 4. And it seems much more organized, and the awareness is very different. That's not taught in kind of the simple buddy diving system. It's that awareness that goes in to helping maintain people in the right position in the water and maintaining each other kind of in the right position on ascent or in decompression.
Yeah, and
It's a good picture.
What's it's almost me. Just 1 second.
Yeah, real quick, I definitely want to chat about this picture. It was a really cool shot, like of that side mount selfie, right? And so it seems really like it seems like kind of a more unique picture than what people typically take, right?
Yeah. So you know what?
Cool.
What do you do? I'm absolutely ecstatic about the fact I spent hours looking at this. Well, not hours, but I couldn't stop looking at it for hours.
It's okay. Hours are all right.
I mean, I'm not being funny, but this is a work of art, right? I'm a mechanic and an engineer, and I paint and do lots of. I love art as well. This is just a thing of beauty. I could kiss it. I think it's. I've become so attached to it over the last couple of days that I think it needs to be actually attached to my body somewhere, like somebody stitch it on and graft it in or something.
There you go. You're just gonna have it with you for everything.
Oh, it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. Those guys at Divesoft, the guys who sit there planning it and writing out on blueprints, and those guys, yeah, and then the engineers, they kind of make it all, bring it to life, and then the engineers, the guys in the blueprints sit down and go, don't like that. And even I like things on the outside; they look beautiful, and then you look on the inside, you expect a little bit of, not bothered about that. People can't see it,
right?
They've done on here what I do to engines on the inside of engines. You know, when you're just grafting that tiny little bit to get the better flow rate on the cylinder head, and you're lapping the valves in, making them a little bit bigger or whatever. This is that kind of work, and it's. I'm just a nerd, really. At the end of the day, you know, I love it.
I mean, we all are pretty nerdy when it comes to diving gear, and you know, it's such a really awesome paradigm shift on kind of the standard of rebreathers. You know, side mount rebreathers are becoming mainstream almost, and like when 10, 15 years ago, they were real fringe, and you know, people were building side mount units, and you had kind of everyone was experimenting, and it still is kind of like what Jill says, the test pilot phase. But you know, you see them now in the manufacturing that goes into rebreathers, not just Divesoft, you know. But I know we as a company take a lot of pride in making, you know,
Clearly.
It's that real fantastic engineering that goes into it. Everything's very meticulously thought of, and everything has a purpose.
I'm getting all turned on.
I know it's a sales pitch. No, not really. But it's awesome to see the paradigm shift of the equipment. It's, you know, you have the skills evolving kind of in the diving industry, and then you have the equipment evolving and the technology, the electronics evolving. Things are getting tougher, you know, they're working better.
Yeah. The only thing is that we're not working better.
Yeah, we're falling into a lot of the same habits. You know, it's you know, like what we were talking about earlier with adrenaline junkies and the egos in diving. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Clearly, there's a lot of, you know, I mean, my background's just, I've said it before, the junky stuff that I love doing, but it's very easy to look at technical diving and cave diving and start seeing it as the next level up. But if you ask any competent and experienced cave diver, they will probably turn around to you and say, "There's none of that involved." It's just that then of where they are, what they want to look for, and there is adventure. So you don't get misconceived by the idea of venture, of adventure, and pushing something than an ego. So I don't think anybody up there has actually got any egos, but people who aren't at that level, who aspire to be at that level, think it's about ego. They can tell their mates that they're doing a cave course, or they're going to go here and they're going to go there, and and you get people doing it without any training, of course, as well, and that's where things can go really wrong,
right?
Because you're a technical diver with a twin set on your back or side mounts, or you can carry stages, doesn't make you a cave diver. Yeah. Yes, you've got more gas, but that soon goes when you make a mistake. Yeah. And you don't have that time to get out, and you can't go to the surface. Yeah. So
exactly,
we've just got to be as professionals. We've got to lay it home, and I make no bones about it on a course. I'm not going to make it out to be some speciality that this is all great. I will tell you, you will die if you fuck up.
You have to make it real.
Yeah. And the best I can hope for is the worst you do right now in front of me, because if I actually had one student once, and he was really good. He was really academic, and he just soaked it all up. He was just brilliant, and there was nothing I could do. Nothing that faced him that seemed to bother him about anything, and he didn't have any confusion. He was just perfect on the ball. And I said to him, right, we're going to go for a dive. You're going to plan it, execute it, dive it, and I'm not going to do anything at all. You're going to take me for a dive. So took me for a dive. We got to the end, turned around, perfect. Everything he did was perfect. We did several jumps and tees. And on the way back, I decide I'm going to change something. So rather than go a way that was obviously wrong, like go to the wrong side of a tee, I go the right way. And I'm not going to go into it too much, because otherwise, if anyone's listening, they're going to kind of go, "Oh, right, I know what he's going to do next time." But yeah, what I wanted to do was just play on his mind about not sticking to protocols that we had. And basically, what I did, I'll find something else to do. But what I did was I just went straight over that marker, the exit marker, the correct one. And then I said to him, after he picked it up, I went, "Where's home? Which way? Is it that way?" And he's like, "No, it's that way." I went, No, it's got to be that way." And he went, "No, it's that way." So I went, No, come on, it's that way. And we got to the junction, and looking at it, and there's no marker on it. And I went, "Now where do we go?" And I went, "Oh, maybe it's that way or that way."
You start confusing him some more. It's the doubt, the chattering monkeys.
I cut it, and I went, "Right, that's the way home now." And I came out and we discussed it, and I said, "How was that dive for you?" And he went, "It was shit." "Why was it shit?" And he said, "Well, because you did all that to me." I said, "Yeah, but why did that happen?" And he said, "Oh, well, it was because I didn't confirm with you." Actually, he didn't say, but we got to that conclusion in the end. It was basically, he didn't confirm something because he thought I knew where I was going. I was the instructor on the course. He didn't bother to confirm with me because I knew it. And
he didn't want to question the wise and knowledgeable Garry Dallas, right?
Yeah. But if you could do it to me, you could do it to anybody.
Yeah,
all you needed was somebody who was higher in experience, in peers, or just got a loud mouth, and and
or is very
somebody to that degree. And how easy it was. So because he was a young lad, not very experienced in diving, but bloody good diver. He's been diving with a load of GUE guys after I taught him, and he put it all together. A couple of hundred dives later, and he's awesome, absolutely awesome in the cave. He just soaks it all up. But actually, when it comes down to it, he felt intimidated by somebody in a cave and managed to change his direction. And that was the lesson. Don't let anybody intimidate you. In fact, be a diver in your own right. Don't let if you don't know your shit well enough, somebody's going to change your mind. And to do it in a cave, it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
So that kind of I'm glad that he made a mistake like that, because his fundamental mistake was not sticking to protocol, which allowed something else to happen. You know what? We're all guilty of that. It was a bit lazy. He could have just signaled to me, but I knew he wasn't going to signal to me if I went the wrong way, because that would be clear. Boom, boom, boom. Wrong way, idiot. That way.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's having that confidence in yourself and in the protocols that gets established over time. But you need to know you need to know what the plan is, what you're doing the dive, and you're like, okay, we're going home, and it's like someone starts arguing, and you're just like, no, you can't let it spiral out, and you can't, because it'll only get worse. And so you have to be like, nope, this is the plan. We're not going to deviate from the plan, and to have the judgment on that. And that's a really good example of, I know we talked about the other day of the importance of kind of leveling the field with when you have students, especially, not just yourself, but like kind of all instructors, when we're taking a group diving, we have to level the field, because there is that hierarchy that people will automatically fall into.
Yeah. And it happens a lot in all walks. When I'm teaching any course, it doesn't matter what it is, and I get a variety of. I get 2 people on the course. I don't teach any more than 2 people, not generally, unless I've already taught them before. We've got plenty of in-water time, but I get a couple of students on the course with very different backgrounds and experience, and when we're talking about our a bit of background, so we can understand each other, get to know each other. I mean, that's
right. It's very important. Yeah, it's like an interviewing phase.
Yeah. So you can see really who's who. Do I like the person? You have to like the person. You're not going to help them out if you don't like them.
It helps a lot.
Yeah. So it's nice to get to know each other, but in getting to know each other, you suddenly find yourself in a pack, and who's the alpha? Yeah, and that's what I don't want. I don't want me to be the alpha either, because I want somebody to look after me. I don't want to think, he's I want somebody to say, we're a team, all 3 of us, we're a team. Not me, not him. We're a team, and that's a failure of the buddy system, because the buddy system is like, I'm me, I'm on my own here, and he's my buddy, and this is I'll just crack on and enjoy this dive. And the awareness is missing from the buddy system. And it's when you start to introduce awareness into the buddy system, do you actually get teamwork?
Yeah, exactly. Each diver has to think like, okay, I see what my partner, my buddy is doing. What do they need for me to help them, to make them be more effective? And the same, it needs to be reciprocated. And I mean, you see that a lot, at least in, I know I learned in more working diving, especially on projects where we have an objective. It's like, okay, one diver's collecting data, the other diver needs to like make sure that their buoyancy doesn't change, that they don't, get pushed by the current. They need to kind of keep their overall awareness while the individual diver is working. It's, and we didn't plan that on the boat. We implemented that into the kind of project diving. So.
And that's it. And again, in projects, you've got to have that efficient team working together. If there's one person fails on that team, then the whole team fails, or they're playing catch up, and it's made their life hard work. So, yeah.
It's funny because we talked about the hierarchy, but usually with those projects, you have a safety officer, someone that's their job is to kind of quarterback the whole big picture. Now, I really think that it's important to have a leader, but it's important to establish a culture where you can call an all stop. You can see something that maybe the person on the top doesn't see, and like, okay, this is not safe. And, that's the same as the mantra. Anyone can call any dive for any reason at any time. And to practice it is so important.
Oh, absolutely. So that bit at the end is actually practicing it. And I I'm very aware of the fact that you can call a dive, and we all talk about it. So we agree.
Yeah.
And I've seen so
Especially
many
online when we're talking.
Yeah, yeah, those dives, yeah. But even in the real dives, where we're supposed to be able to say to every member of the team that it's okay to stop and go home, yeah, because one of us in the team is not having fun, yeah, and is finding that stress. And I've been in a few situations of late, and these people that talk about this, and some of them are cave divers, and technical divers, and they don't. They talk it, but they don't do it. Yeah, and many people. I have some really good friends of mine, and lots of people in the industry do what they say they're doing. But it's when they don't, and we find that there's an issue here, because actually somebody's not capable of doing what you're doing, and the following, and now it's getting hard work, and now you're not listening, and we need to go home, and we feel that's supposed to be part of a team, and you're just going. So
breaking the protocol, doing your own thing. It's only going to create problems. Yeah.
And even with my guys, I've taken for a dive, and before we start a cave course, and might be in a wetsuit, and it's got to be good temperatures to get into a wetsuit, but so we're all in a wetsuit, and we're in about it's probably about 14-15 degree temperature water, but we've been in quite a while, and I signaled to everyone, cold, and they all looked at me and went, okay,
too bad.
And I just thought, hang on a minute, I'm about to teach you guys all about cave diving, and you don't give a flying. What about me? What about me? I'm calling the dive now.
Right? Hey, we're paying you. You're supposed to. You're not supposed to want to call it.
That's it. This is it. The instructors never call a dive, because one, they're either getting paid for it. They don't expect them to. They've got so much more experience. And yes, we do wear warmer gear, and we dress to the occasion, and to be warmer than normal, because we spend so much time in the muddy water as opposed to our students. Anyway, so our core drops just that tiny little bit every day. So we need to stay a bit warmer. But yeah, this is what I'm talking about. It's all this hierarchy, and where are we actually with all of this? We need to make sure that we do what we say we're going to do, and not just talk it.
Exactly. I really think that that stems. We kind of talked about kind of the alphaness, and sometimes you have these biological mechanisms where, like, kind of a leader is going to just, like, all of a sudden it's going to, like, the group will form itself, and usually the leader, the alpha, will kind of be the instructor in charge. But we'd like to think of ourselves a little bit of evolved from that. But in reality, we kind of aren't. But we should have the instructor does have the responsibility to level that playing field. And at the same time, there needs to be a kind of a space for discussion. Like, it's okay to make mistakes. We just need to be able to recover from them. I know that was something that Gareth mentioned on our talk, was recovering from making the mistake to where it's a close call and not an accident. And there is a lot of pressure, especially on reputations. Well, if I'm an instructor that's known for calling it, because I get cold, because I don't have the foresight to know, like, oh, I'm going to be cold on this dive, then nobody's going to want to ever train with me. And so there's so many variables and pressures that go into it, but it's the room for discussion is so important.
Yeah. It's absolutely true, and I think that there's so much required from instructors that we just forget that we are divers, and we are divers just the same as everybody else who's you know. And I
put
often,
our pants on one leg at a time.
yeah, I often say to my students, at what point in that dive did you actually ask if I had it, if I was okay? Anybody? No one. No one. You didn't even ask each other if you were okay. You know, you didn't ask. You know, the rule of thirds, and we batter this home all the time, and you know, like you keep looking at me, but you forget there's another guy on the team here, right?
Right.
So what about him? So the next dive we get in, let's make sure that he's in the view. And while you're at it, make sure I'm. Don't just look at me like I'm just going to teach you something. We are doing a dive. Yeah, so let's do it and act like a team. Yeah, and I do it every single course, and it's good because it can only make people better, and that's what they're paying you to do. So, but I do it anyway because I just enjoy it. But I'm not interested in the hierarchy. I sit down at the beginning of a course and I just tell everybody, right, we're all divers. Okay, you just spent the first 5-10 minutes talking to me, and you forgot about the guy sat next to you who knows nothing about you, but you didn't make any eye contact with him at all. You just keep looking at me, and you did exactly the same. So I need to create a bond between you two, and make sure that your eyes are looking this way and this way, as well as in front. You know, and as drivers on the road, if anyone ever did a motorcycle or advanced driving test, they'll know that you're taught how to peripherally look 360 degrees around you and be aware of everything and everyone on the street, you know, on the road. Even if you can't see them, you preempt and something could happen, because that's a typical place for it to happen. A blind corner, a road, a bus stop, two parked cars, and there's a children's playground down the road. You know, all these things. But yeah, just leveling the playing field entirely. I don't want to be put on a pedestal. I want my divers to think of me as a diver.
Right.
I'm here to teach you some shit, but you know, some cool shit, in fact. But yeah, let's level that field out. And I think once they start to feel that they're not being adjudicated,
I'm curious about the expectation, like with getting paid, you know, oh, you're being paid here. So it's like you're expected to fulfill, like, you know, we have our responsibilities as an instructor and we do that. And then they're like I said earlier, with the series of reputations and, like, you know, there is like you're getting paid for this and there's a pressure to certify, you know, and that's a problem, you know, a lot in kind of like, I feel like it's not as big of a problem in such as technical diving, but there's the problem kind of like in, you know, in terms of like specialties or another kind of diving, that you have this pressure like, oh, I'm paying for you, I expect the certification, I expect the product.
Well, we've had in my teaching, I've had people turn up for a course, leave half a day earlier because they wanted to not catch the traffic, and they emailed me afterwards and said, "So do I get a ticket?" And that clearly came with a "What the fuck?"
I know you didn't fit it.
And then you've got guys, and when I say guys, I don't mean men. I just mean guys is plural for everybody. So you get people who turn up on the course, and I do believe everybody's got a different learning curve. You can't teach the same type of rigidity to one person and think everybody else is going to learn exactly the same way. We've all got a difference in the way we learn, and a lot of us like to be hands-on. A lot of us are visual. You can read a book all you want, but that made no sense. You know, you do it on paper. Doing it on paper is one thing, but actually getting your hands on things and feel and touch and play, you know, that's a totally different thing. And enacting out a scenario is exactly what we need to do. You know, actors aren't the greatest actors in the world because they can remember the lines that they read the night before. They actually have to physically enact with somebody, do something, play, and they're being filmed, and they're in the real life environment. That's for an actress, you know. So we learn better by doing things. Otherwise, and that's why we don't have online stuff, right? You can only read the academics. The rest of it, you can only do in the water.
You have to go diving.
I get emails all the time, right, where people say, here's a picture of me, my diving kit, standing on the shore. Can you please tell me what's wrong with my kit? Can you make me, tell me how to do it? And then some people send me a video, which is very nice.
And I'm so curious, like, how's the feedback from those kind of things? Like, what's your take on that? Especially like your little thing, your Ask Garry. Like,
I can't see it. I can't.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the person. A video can just help. So like Wait and Boise, right? They act oppositely and together, and in their own right, in physics, they have a purpose and they do what they're going to do. But actually in the water, it has a different effect. And the fact that we are not standing on ground, having gravity affecting on us, doesn't actually constitute the same information in our brains as floating, as being neutrally buoyant. So if somebody sticks a weight in front of you in your hands and it's too heavy to hold and it's affecting your trim and you like to stay in trim, what's going to happen to you? You're going to do something to correct yourself from being pushed down. So you're going to lift your body up to compensate for it. And as you do that, well, other things then happen as well. Like the air goes out of your dry suit and starts rushing up to your shoulders, or the air at the bottom of your wing starts going to the front and top of the wing. And then your feet drop down and then suddenly you're all over the place.
Spirals out of control.
Of course. Yeah. So, how do we make things work? It's about understanding the relationship of things and how divers behave in the water against how they feel. And the feeling is literally it's bonded to the way things affect us physically.
How you learn.
And having somebody tell you what's happening and when and why against how you feel is where I use video feedback, because you can't, that didn't lie. That picture, that image, video does not lie, but you can use that image to see how you looked and felt yourself, what your experiences were, and then let's discuss it, and then you'll see exactly why something happened, because just moments earlier, you did something, like you maybe saw something on the floor and you were looking at it and your feet suddenly started to go up.
Right.
Because you changed the body angle and that affected everything else. And you managed it for a little bit of time until you couldn't manage it. And that's where you started to go feet first. So I do this thing where I show people an image of a guy holding a big block of dominoes, right? Big dominoes, they're really big. And there's a number of them, and they go smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And I give this flash image, and anybody that's done a course with me will know what I'm talking about. I give them a flash image of what they see. And then I ask them, what did they see? So first thing, how many dominoes were there? And I always get around about between 4 and 7. There's actually 13. But the point was, in that flash moment, they didn't actually get to see the smaller stuff that really wasn't that obvious. And it's the smaller stuff in relation to things that maybe a leaking inflator or something, a bubbling regulator that's just about to sort of give you too much gas and start free flowing underwater, or an O-ring that's got a tiny little cut in it and you didn't bother about it. And lots of things that you could say, well, that's okay. I've been doing this for years. It never happened before. And there's a name for that in human factors, of course, we just go through life like that, unfortunately, what we can get away with and what we do. And it's about
the shifting baseline of, what's okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
what the video does such a good job of time. Like when you're talking about feeling, it's not like your emotional state. It's really like, okay, my feet, I feel like my feet are flat right now, and then I can see in the video that my feet tips are up. So this is why I'm struggling to have such a hard time, because my feet just kind of cut through the water and my head drops when they need to be flat.
Yeah.
So I can see at this point of the video, my feet flatten out. I feel more stable. And so tying the video to how you feel about your body, that's the really good tool of the videography that you can't get off of reading a paper about buoyancy and trim.
Yeah. And then there's the issue as an instructor is that you're holding that little camera. Now, I've got GoPro on a bolt snap, right? And it's
Yeah. I like to put it on a weight, and I can put it on a bench that just sees us.
Yeah. So my bolt snap in itself is weight, so it sinks, but not too fast, right? So it's fine. I usually sit it on the side, but the problem is sitting on the side is they don't get what I want to show. What I want to show afterwards is something really specific, and I'm in the wrong direction. I try and coerce a student maybe to turn a bit, but that's not always easy. But yeah, it's a case of you sitting there in the water, and it hangs on my hand like sorry, just so you can see, it just hangs there, and I just sit in the water like that. I don't even look at the screen to see what it's pointing at. I know it's going to point because I know what kind of I have it on super wide angle, so I can catch what's in that. And all I want to do is not get a picture out of it. I want them to see little things that they didn't realize was happening with the profile of the diver. And then if something happens, it's ready and poised. I just go clip, and I'm ready, because that's muscle memory in itself. So you do have to get really
It can't be a distraction or a hindrance to the instructor.
You get your DM to hold it, and a lot of the time I'll get the DM because I'll just say to them, "You look at them, and you get in video," and they know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, sometimes I like to do it, but it's never an encumbrance. You could have it as a strap, but yeah, the straps, yeah, you can't get rid of it when you want to get rid of it, and I can drop it, and I don't have to go like, get off with my drag gloves on, you know. But yeah, no, there's loads we can talk about on that one.
Yeah, so I was saying we were getting a bunch of really good questions that I would really like to kind of answer on. I saw, I think it was somebody was asking about, your opinion on solo diving. There you go. David is asking, what do you think of solo diving?
Well,
this is solo diving at a trade show, by the way. This is what we do at the trade shows. That's why I miss them so much.
Oh my God, I forget about that.
I think Matt's in the background just throwing pictures to distract us.
Yeah, do you remind me to buy you a drink, mate? Yeah, so oh, I forgot what I was talking about. That solo diving.
Solo diving. Yeah.
Thoughts on solo diving? Well, clearly it's not something that we in the recreational diving world we really do. Although there is a speciality around. Solo diving from the manual of solo diving, I don't really think it's comprehensive enough to call yourself a experienced solo diver. You can't be experienced, I know, but there is that element of like, look at me, I'm solo, I'm awesome. And yeah, there are a lot of really, really good divers out there, and a lot of them do act comprehensively in the water, and they make great buddies, and in more to the point, they're actually confident and competent divers in their own right. They don't need a buddy. They work well in a team, perfectly well, but they are a competent diver in their own right, and that's the most important thing you have to be, not a reliant diver. Yeah, so I know there's a self-reliant and there's solo. What if you lose your buddy in a dive and you can't get back to them because the current's a bit too strong, that you're out of breath trying to get back to that wreck? There's when you came around the bow and you suddenly got this gush and it forced you away, and no matter what you do now, you cannot deal with it. You need to be able to put an SMB up all on your own. You need to control your depth all on your own. You need to I was just thinking some daft things then, but no. But you need to
be able to have the gear too. Yeah. You can't be like, oh, we have one SMB between us.
At the worst point of a dive is when things happen. Your pressure on your tanks is getting lower. O-rings may not have been situated very tightly onto that regulator properly, and all you needed was a bit of low pressure just to help it go. And now you've got a free flow going on at the depth, at the worst point of time that you just didn't want it to happen. You know what? That's where you need to be very confident in your own right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we should all be solo divers, but we shouldn't be diving solo.
Yeah, we should all be able to handle everything, like you said, like handle any problems that we may face independently, but we shouldn't dive independently in terms of like teams. If you're diving in teams, if you're diving with your partners, your buddies, you need to be a good buddy. I think good buddymanship is the same as good teamwork, is something that's often overlooked, and it's not something that's encouraged. You got to, buoyancy is always is always fundamental in training, but being a good buddy is not as pushed in basic diving as I think it should be. So
yeah, absolutely. We need to be a bit more conscientious about how we train people and conscientious how we learn.
Right. Yeah, and I always encourage students, people that are like referring and looking for instructors, to really, interview your instructors, really find out if it's a good fit, and really find out if they're capable and what is their teaching philosophy.
Yeah.
Oh, here's one. What's the biggest shark you've ever seen? Are you afraid of the sharks?
I
train
them. I've got a healthy respect for sharks. I have a healthy respect for sharks. Seriously, I have not, in my diving career, I've not seen as many sharks as some people have, who've got much less experience than me, and that's wonderful for them. But I would like to see some. However, I probably could. I didn't get my tape measure out at the time, but I think I've seen some pretty big whale sharks. Just saw that for me a minute, yeah. But also basking sharks off the coast of the UK as well, in Cornwall. So they've got plenty of sightings. We get a lot of basking sharks, and Basking Sharks Scotland is a company that do the tours out, and they know where they're going to be. They kind of drop you in the water there, and they kind of cruise into you. Wow. Yeah, there's quite a lot. It's quite a lot. But yeah, so what's the biggest shark? No, I don't one of them.
I would say the whale shark's the biggest shark I've seen.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I've yet to. I am due a trip to South Africa. Right, I've got some friends over there, and we're come to an arrangement and to get over there, because I won't do a cage dive, never. But I want to dive with sharks in their natural environments. No chumming, no none of this. It's about being free, and I think as divers we all like to be free, and bikers we like to be free with the wind running through our hair and the helmets and stuff, and we're just free people.
Free beings, yeah.
But I'm going to get over there and I'm going to dive with some great whites. It's going to scare the freaking crap out of me, but I am going to dive.
I'll go with you. We'll go hang out with PJ, and he'll take us.
Yeah. It'd be awesome.
There we go. It'll be fun. We'll live stream it for everybody here too.
Yeah, well, do you know what? If I can actually catch my breath, and I don't, I have now a full face mask, so we could be doing that.
You can really do it.
Yeah. We could have comms underwater, everything.
But like talking about wildlife, I mean, marine wildlife is something that it's so. I think we're all so fortunate to be able to see fish and marine life in the way that we do as divers, because it's, topside, you have to go on a safari to see some certain wildlife, and still it's so rare seeing terrestrial life and seeing sharks. It's so fortunate, and like I know I have some friends off of the Carolinas here, and they're posting pictures, and the sharks that they see over there is just spectacular. So it's really cool. I think it's something that we all really need to cherish as divers.
Absolutely. We actually forget that we should be so privileged. It's not the fact that we're human and we can make machines and we can get underwater with these beautiful breathing apparatuses, but we're really privileged, and I think there's not enough of that feeling in the world. There is some, and we strive, but there's a lot out there in the recreational diving. I just think we're not educated well enough to in not in the majority of terms, but just I think we could just do with a bit better education. And it still needs to be fun. We do this because we bloody well enjoy it, and we're doing this like 20, 30, 40, 50 and hopefully longer years later, and we're still enjoying it. But out there and this is where we come back to pictures. One of the things I wanted to say was that we take pictures so that we can appreciate the environments better. We can appreciate the wildlife and actually realize what we're doing to it. I was absolutely shocked recently where I saw the number of dump sites around the world, the biggest ones, and obviously the biggest one is the Pacific garbage. That Pacific garbage patch, and it's absolutely huge. And it's out of sight, out of mind, and everything
exactly, out of sight, out of mind.
And it's happened not individually but as a whole. But I believe in a way, rather than looking at us as a whole, because we never really look at it as like a whole, but individually we can do something every single day just to help make that environment just that little bit better than we left it and then it was.
Exactly. We need to remember that we're stewards. We have a duty to take care of our surroundings. And my background, marine science, and I know that I learned very much the impact that an individual has to any place that they're around. And we can always be very general. Oh, we need to make the world better. But when we specify kind of objectives, you have that World Oceans Day video that you made, and anybody going to the beach anytime, like picking up, cleaning, if you see trash, not stepping over it, walking over it. And folks, you hear this kind of bitter resentment remark of like, oh, if I pick it up, it's going to end up in a dump site somewhere. It's like, well, you have the responsibility. You see trash, you pick it up. Take the time, make it a priority. And so if everybody does that, you have such a big impact. Rather than being general, saying like, oh, the world needs to be better. It's like, well, make it better.
Yeah, because somebody isn't going to do it for us. We haven't got mum and dad who's going to do it. We actually need to do it ourselves. And, I should do more as well. So we're all guilty. We just did that a little bit more, we'd make a bit bigger difference.
Yeah, it's like the internet meme of clean up your room, Make sure if you have a clean room, then you can have a clean house and you can clean your neighborhood and it can expand. And so
yeah. But as well, we need to just sort of keep the word out there, and I put pictures up so that it highlights the environment, and I'll just do a bit of writing that just helps just demonstrate what I want to say in my heart, and try and make the picture help with that as well.
And I really recommend everyone go to simplysidemount.com. It's Gary's website. You have your photographs on there. They're fantastic. I told him the other day, but I want to share with everybody. It's a very well put together website. It's few and far between sometimes in this industry, but he does a very good job showcasing his pictures and kind of everything that Gary's all about.
Thanks.
Well, great. Well, I think we've talked for long enough. We've kind of worn off everyone's ears.
Yeah, they will be going home now. I'm getting some biscuits.
You have any closing remarks?
Oh, yeah. This interview couldn't have come at a better time, actually, when because I just received my rebreather.
Right?
I can't wait to get over to Netherlands with William and get this sorted. But yeah, I'm absolutely looking forward to it. But in terms of the talk, well, you know, I could probably we could have this conversation till the week next Thursday and more. But there's a lot to say. But we need to go diving.
Exactly. Yeah, we need to go diving. You need to come on over here. We'll go to cave country. We'll go cave diving. I think I'm going to take you up on that trip. We're going to go bother PJ and make him take us diving.
Yeah.
PJ, if you're listening, we're coming. Go see some sharks.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if anybody had any questions left to ask or anything, but they can always ask me if they want or
right. Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Garry. And like I told everyone, be sure to join us or check him out on simplysidemount.com. And yeah, it was a great chat. It was a great time. I think we're going to have another. We're going to have a part 2 soon.
I think we should have a part 2.
Yeah. I'm finding that like a lot of these discussions are opening up more room for more discussion. So I think I'm going to keep this thing going with part 2s.
Yeah. Love to, mate. Love to. Thank you.
Great.
Thanks.
Well, so good having you. Yeah. And thank you very much for everyone that tuned in. Be sure to join us next week for our next episode.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.